Well, hello, my friends. This is a big day. What we've been talking about today is this man, Howard Carter, who discovered King Tut's tomb. Now, this guy was pretty smart and determined to find the tomb, and there were a few things that he needed to know. And those things were hieroglyphics and Egyptian symbols. This is actually a drawing of Howard Carter's that he did of exactly what he saw when he opened up the final sarcophagus of King Tut to find his mummified body. When he saw it, not only did he take a picture, but he drew it as well. Now let's take a look at this. Howard Carter knew that they wrote words using hieroglyphics. These were pictures that would stand for a letter, and you're actually going to get to write out your name today. Hieroglyphics would show up on everything from rings to walls to an obelisk to carvings, and these are just a few more of the symbols of hieroglyphics. Now they would write this down on papyrus. This was paper that they would make using plants that grew along the edge of the Nile. They would cut it up into strips and put it into paper, and it would look exactly like this. In fact, today I'm going to be giving you a piece of paper that is actual papyrus from Egypt. And they would write on it using what was called the stylus. There would be people who would be trained from the time they were little to be able to write hieroglyphics. Not everybody could do it. The other thing Howard Carter knew is that they used a lot of symbols. For example, if you were to see this symbol, and sometimes they would even lengthen it out, it was called a cartouche. And if you saw a cartouche, it was meant to look like a rope that was tied, but you would know that the name of a pharaoh would be written inside a cartouche. This was an eye symbol that you'll see a lot in their artwork. It's called the ujat, and it stands for healing. So if you needed healing or if you were sick, they believed that this symbol was kind of watching out for you. This is the Ankh. You will see this in a lot of Egyptian artwork. It means eternal life. For them, it means that when you die, your body will go on to live in an afterlife. It's not the same as what we as Christians believe. It's different, but they called it the Ankh, which to them meant eternal life. We'll talk more about that later. Now, this is very interesting. This beetle, you're going to see this beetle a lot. It's called a scarab beetle. And for them, it meant creation. If you look at what a scarab beetle does, it is the craziest thing. The scarab beetle will go and find poop, like from animals. I'm not kidding. And they roll it up into a ball. And they would notice that these beetles would roll it up into a ball, and then out of nowhere, very soon would come a whole bunch of new beetles. Well, what happened is that they would lay their eggs inside that little ball of poop, and a new baby, a little beetle, would grow. So to them, it made sense to say, wow, this beetle, this scarab beetle, can make new things out of a ball of what they call dung. And so to them, they said, man, this is like creation. Things are being created. So a scarab beetle meant creation. Strange but true. Ra was the god of the sun. And when they would see the sun go through the sky, they thought that thing was so amazing. And they said, we don't know where that thing came from, because they didn't know about God yet. They didn't know about the one true God. And so they saw the sun. They said, that must be a god. We need to worship that. And they did, and they called him Ra. So if you see a circle, that's Ra. Now they also had all these different headdresses, and every headdress stood for a different part of Egypt. We'll talk more about that later, but you're going to notice that there's guys who look like they're wearing like a bowling pin on their head, and there's guys that look like they've got this like kind of capped off thing with a long thing, and sometimes like with this little snaky thing coming out. And then this, if you see those helmets, you'll know those are the headdresses. You'll see it on King Tut. You'll see it everywhere. Another thing you'll notice are the flail and crook. If you look at King Tut, he is wearing one of these. He's holding them. One of them looks like this, And the other one looks like this. It's got all these little whippy things coming out of it. The flail and the crook meant that they were a pharaoh, or they were majestic, or they were some sort of king. The lotus flower meant birth. So they would see these little flowers like this growing all sweetly along the Nile. And when it would blossom, they said, oh, that's just like a baby being born. And so it was birth. Now, the Ka was the soul, and it was shown by having two hands outstretched like this. The Egyptians believed that you had your body, but that you also had a soul. That was the thing that kind of was inside of you that gave you your feelings and your beliefs. And they called that the Ka. There's also this winged solar disk. It's where they would have the sun, and they would have wings on it to make it look more majestic. So we call that a winged solar disk. Here we see the scarab beetle. He's rolling not the poop anymore. He's rolling the sun, and he's got wings. Now, can you remember all this that I just taught you? Let's see. Here we go. Do you identify any things in here? Can you see it? Right. We've got the eye, we've got Ra, we've got the beetle, we got the wings, we got the lotus flower here, we got a cobra here, that was part of the headdress. We have circles here for Ra. We've got the Ujat here in the middle. Amazing. Oh, I already told you guys this one. This is actually a hieroglyphic down here. You'll have to look at later on what the basket means. But we have the scarab beetle. We have the sun, which is what? Ra. And we have the wings. Here's someone. She is wearing a headdress. Do you see this right here? Do you remember what that was called? The Ankh. Here is, do you see this? The flail and the crook. Very cool. This is, do you remember? The Ankh. Here we go again. Ra, scarab beetle, lotus blossom. You got hieroglyphics down here. This is too easy. You guys know all this already. The Ra here. We got this. We got the lotus blossom. Look at right here. We got a ba going on with the two hands reaching up. Remember that one? Ah! Here's another one. Doot, doot, doot. Ujat. Ankh. He's a little tired. His little things are down. Here on King Tut, this is a bust of King Tut, a face of him. Here we have some lotus flowers down here. This is very cool. This was something that was on his scepter. Look at, we can see the bowling pin crown over here. And the other one over here, we've got a crook. We got cartouches. We got the whole enchilada going on here. All right, it's time for you people to get to work. Oh my goodness, do you see it here? From now on, you guys are going to be so smart when you look at this Egyptian stuff. You're going to know what it all means. Right now, you are going to be writing your name in hieroglyphics, and we're going to be showing you how.